I'm Matthew.
I'm Marty.
I'm Carlos.
And we are the Heroes 3. Welcome to Heroes 3, the bi-weekly podcast where three friends explore the best, worst, and everything in between the world of Asian cinema. And this, every year, we like to do a little something for April Fools. Usually we have a dumb fake veneer to start with. But this year, it's so out there and goofy that we're gonna
we've
gonna
been
just
through
be straight
enough
out with
this
y'all.
year, right?
Yeah, we've been through enough.
Yeah.
Well, you put us through Soccer Killer last year. So.
Yeah, and actually, I feel like I'm paying the price with with this year. So, actually, we can talk about a little bit. Is Matthew, you recommended us maybe covering something else within the Kung Fu Panda films, because we did Kung Fu Panda for April Fools.
That was our very first one, I think.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking about it. Yeah, that'd be cool. But as I was digging a little deeper, I thought maybe it'd be fun for us to do something even weirder. So one of the things that was sitting in the back of my brain that leapt out while I was starting to do homework was, hey, you know how like little kids will just watch anything and companies capitalize on that? So we have cases where these big popular computer animated films will have these ripoffs, and Kung Fu Panda is definitely a candidate for that, and I was able to dig up a handful of these, what I'm calling Pandasploitation films.
Dude, I can't believe how many of them there were.
I know.
Yeah.
If there had been two, I would have been surprised, because it's like, yeah, there's going to be at least a ripoff per movie, but this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you've got the Asylum, that company that makes they call them mockbusters, actually. So there's like rip-offs that are just in time with whatever's big in theaters. So the Transformers films has the Transmorphers. Yep. Yeah, we got a handful of these, and I think we'll just spend a little time with each of them. I've done the dirty work where I've watched these, and
I bow to you.
Doing God's work.
Yep, I took some notes so we can discuss them a little bit, and we'll just go through. And I think I ordered them from worst to the best of the worst in my notes, and we could talk about them a little bit. So, but before we talk about the films, what do you think are the tropes that would be necessary for a rip-off Kung Fu Panda film?
Well, I guess talking animals.
Okay,
would be a big one.
Sure.
I guess some basic kind of hero's journey, like he can't be good at the martial arts in the beginning.
Sure. And I mean, I guess I've only seen the first Kung Fu Panda, but I do remember there being a significant amulet of power or whatever, a hero's symbol.
Gotcha. So like a magical MacGuffin thing.
Right.
An unlikely hero.
Sure. Yep.
In some way, shape.
And I mean, of course, Kung Fu has to be factoring into this as well.
And I'm guessing they're going to they're going to go for jokes. They're gonna try.
Yeah, they're gonna try.
That's a very generous way of saying it. I like it.
Yeah, so we get a little bit of those in each of these films to varying degrees. So the first one that I want us to talk about is called The Little Panda Fighter.
I thought you told Mr. Grizzlepuss you hated fighting.
I do hate fighting. I mean, like, stupid fighting. The kind lacking in proper form and technique.
Now this is from 2008. This is actually developed by a company called Video Brinquedo. It's a Brazilian company that they're also known as Toyland Video. So they like specialize in making these ripoffs, and they're very low quality.
And the full one is on YouTube. I started it. I got maybe three minutes in. But.
Yeah, I definitely made a point to tell you guys not to watch them all because it's brutal. I watched 80% of all of these, but I was definitely skipping ahead when it was like, ugh, it's just rough. And Joanna, my wife, was just like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, it's worth it, I swear. So some other titles that this Toyland video company has released, the Little Cars series of films. There's also
presumably based on the Pixar.
That's right. Yep. The Ratatouille film.
Oh, dude.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And also,
We don't have time to come up with a list of 3 names.
Yeah.
Ratatouille's just a real thing. You could probably just call it Ratatouille.
You're right.
But anyways.
And also, What's Up? Balloon to the Rescue.
Oh my god.
That's good.
Oh man. So these are horrible.
Old Man and Child Balloon Adventures.
Yeah, they're really bad. The lighting on this short, I think it's like 40 minutes or something. It's really heavily
Short's a very generous term for this.
Yeah.
This is like, if you had told me that this was from 1996, I would have been like, all right, it's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But
this is
the fact that this came out in the year of our Lord, 2008?
2008.
Yeah, there's almost no lighting to speak of. With all of these movies, at least the clips that I watched, it's like taking the principles of animation and just throwing them out. There is no squash, there's no stretch, there's no sense of any physical anything.
Yeah.
It's just like a model that's sliding this way and that.
Yep. So what we have
But
here,
voice acting sounds legit, at least.
yeah, actually, let's see. One of these I know had a for sure that we'll talk about had localized by like a for real like anime dubbing studio. But this one does have a notable voice. So the voice actor that played Meowth in Pokemon is actually in this as a character.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. So this kind of follows. There's a boxing venue. What they do is they hold these tournaments, and there's this boxer that's continuously winning. So the venue's losing money because people aren't excited with the fights. But you've got a panda.
he's like,
Fight night. Big deal. Who cares about some dumb old fight night?
Yeah, right. His name is Pankata. He's the guy that cleans up the place.
why?
And he wants to dance. He has the soul of a dancer. And he also wants to, there's a lady that works at this place, and he wants to kind of prove himself to her to, win her love. So what happens is he and the manager of this place come up with an idea where he basically has the manager, because the manager's like a retired fighter and he can like win, I guess. So he sets him up to look, he's a polar bear, and he sets him up to look like a panda. And what happens is he beats this champion, and then everybody thinks that it's Pankata that actually won. So he gets the attention from the girl, and there's all this
weirdly complex
Dude, so
plot.
He's a cheater. Done. Next.
Yeah, right. Well, it gets really weird. So, anyways, he wants to actually like truly earn that notoriety. So he wants to fight in a rematch against this guy, and
that's cool.
So there's like a training montage. It's like there's some really like horrible rip-off Rocky music. He ends up fighting that guy, and he loses. He gets just stomped. So like you're thinking like, oh yeah, like dance is gonna come into play. Like he's gonna use dance to win, and that's gonna be his victory, and his growth as a person. No, he loses. But what happens is that the manager bet against him, so the manager wins a bunch of money, and that's the happy ending.
Oh, dude.
That's literally it.
Oh my god.
Moral of the story is always take a dive.
Yeah, it's horrible. And so like
that's how Raging Bull ends, right?
Yeah.
There's some really heavy shadows on the model, so sometimes they just look like nightmare fuel. They look really scary. And
I'm just been scrubbing through it as we've been talking about it, and it looks like a non-compressed PS1 cutscene.
Yeah.
Like a bad one. Not like your Tekkens
totally.
or whatever. Like
No, like a
real-
game
the
within
real
the
bad
first
ones.
week of release, like while you're waiting for
Yeah.
a big title. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Ooh.
very painful. And you can just imagine, I don't know, whoever was at the gas station and needed to get something for their babysitter for the night of
Yeah.
and saw this and was like, "Oh yeah, Kung Fu Panda."
Oh man.
Yeah.
And dude, the poor voice actors too. I could see them like walking out of the booth after like a long day and saying like, your animatics aren't bad. And they're like, animatics? That's a locked movie.
That's a locked movie. This is post-production.
We already shipped it.
Yeah. So okay, that was our first one. And
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I am not
pretty
looking forward to getting clips for this.
Yeah, right. The next film is called The Prodigy. Now, this is from 2009.
What did you say to me?
I said, yeah, the one you should be yelling at is Princess May.
Ah, nonsense. You both cause nothing but trouble.
I meant no harm, sir.
This is by a company called Prevalent Entertainment Incorporated. So I looked into them, and they
Prevalent, not prevalent.
Oh, prevalent.
No,
Sure.
No. Well.
I
Okay.
I wouldn't put.
I mean, they call it prevalent. That sounds about right.
They've made 2 of these mockbusters. One being this one, The Prodigy, and the other one is called Life's a Jungle, Africa's Most Wanted.
Oh,
So that
what's that supposed to be?
That's gonna be
Oh,
like
is
a
that
Madagascar.
probably.
Something like that.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I kind of feel like this one's even worse than Little Panda Fighter because it's just boring and it's like an hour and 15 minutes long. It's
Oh man, were you able to watch it like sped up at least?
I was just jumping ahead.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I was jumping ahead. So this it's
Oh
got
god, this is actually making me a little sick.
Yeah, it's really bad. There's like a fog in every shot. It's like the draw distance, like on an N64 game, but in a computer animated film. And the palette's just like kind of greens and browns most of the time. There's a little master panda. He's just called the Master. And he's got like creepy little fangs, and his model like clips into itself a lot of the time. So you're like, what's happening here? It's just, it's really bad. So he has a student, a young girl by the name of KG, which means Kung Fu Girl, which actually I thought that was kind of
Kyle Gass. Right?
Yeah, funny with Jack Black being in Kung Fu Panda, Tenacious D connection there. But all that really happens in this film is that there's a young prince that the girl likes, and he gets kidnapped, and then her and the master panda have to go save him. And everything happens in between them leaving to do it and it happening is just horrible. There's a couple of antagonists. There's like a blonde kind of sorceress that for a couple moments in the film actually uses Drunken Fist. But the CG for some of the action is all done. You can tell that it's motion capture, and it looks, kind of what you'd expect from this kind of era.
I was gonna say this looks like a really bad late stage PS1 cutscene.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh yeah, we don't gotta animate nothing. We got the rotoscoping.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or something like you would see like the endings of like Tekken 1 or the intro to Tekken 1, where the characters have like a bodily form, but just something doesn't look right about the joints and how they move and how they express. That's all over this movie.
The blonde lady looks like those ads where it's like the lady that's like all sexy and it's like, come play my lord.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's like,
yes.
That's what she looks like.
Yeah, it totally does look like something like that. And I believe this is the film. Yeah, this is the film that on the cover it says from the animators of Shrek. And so like it qualifies it. Like there's a level of quality that you're going to get with this movie. I sent Warren a picture of this while I was watching it, and he asked why I was playing a Sega Saturn game.
That's exactly what this looks like.
Perfect.
Yeah. There's a moment in the towards the end of the film where they're entering the like Dragon Lord's castle to save the prince, and each area has there's a gold room, a silver room. In the silver room, there's just straight up the Mortal Kombat dragon logo on the walls. Like, it's literally that.
Sneak it in there.
Yep. There's a moment where they do like a dumb Matrix, camera movement parody with the panda dodging some shurikens. There's a couple moments of music where the master and the prince has like a lute that he plays, and the KG, the Kung Fu girl, they're all playing music, and it's just completely out of place, and just...
Who could play so sweet a sound?
Ooh. And then at the end of the film, they just have a dance number. So like, there's a moment in at the end of Tobal 2 for PS1, there's like this dungeon mode where you get rewarded with this dance sequence where you'll see the different monsters from the game doing dances, and it totally seemed exactly like that. I'll definitely like add that to the episode post, because if you see this and you see that, you're like, oh yeah, of course. And then the other thing that I really enjoyed about this is at the end, during the credits, they have like an itemized crediting for all the different assets in the movie. Like, this guy did this environment, and this guy did this environment. And I'm like,
wow.
I don't think you want people to know
can't
that.
Even picture that. Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. I think partly is because maybe the credits would be too short otherwise, so they wanted like to pad the credits out.
So that it's like a real movie.
Yeah. So I feel a lot of the ones that we're covering today, this one is definitely the worst, and it's not even like entertaining bad, it's just bad.
Yeah. That's a term I learned about recently is the mascot suit problem, and it's whenever I heard, I was like, that totally makes sense. But it's where in a lot of mocapped animation, people move really weird, and like they move too big and also too slow at the same time, because it's like they're moving like a mascot does, like, at Disney World or whatever, where
you're like not scaling
like,
the vertices properly or something.
Yeah, like you're in a big suit and you have to move really, really big to like so things read properly, but that's not how people move.
Yeah.
That's how a weird mascot moves. That's what this whole thing is. Also, I don't think the camera has stood still once in all of the clips that I've looked at. Anyways, good God, I need to get that off of my screen.
Yeah, it's rough. So
this next one doesn't look much better.
Dude, thanks again, Carlos.
Hey, no problem. My pleasure.
Gosh.
The next film that
that's a good start. Sorry, the very first thing whenever I clicked on the YouTube video is that this is from Kiss Cartoon.
Yeah, right. The watermark.
The watermark, and that's the non-anime version of Kiss Anime, the infamous pirate site.
Yep.
Yeah. Now this one looks nice. I mean, it has that kind of like Flash animation meets Cartoon Network kind of look.
Yeah, this is called Chop Kick Panda, and this is from 2011.
He's right, son. I didn't fight a dinosaur. I fought 2 dinosaurs!
And this is by a company called Gaiam Americas, which, with a name like that, they're not from America. So I looked into them a little bit, and they have 3 features that they've made. Besides Chop Kick Panda, they also have made a film called Tappy Toes. and also Puss in Boots, a furry tale.
Yeah.
So
I guess Puss in Boots is like public domain, so you
right,
exactly.
Use the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But I did want to find out a little bit more about this company. So they became known as a company called Gaia Incorporated, and they actually would go on to merge with like Vivendi Universal. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is they kind of became known for like video and like kind of content based around yoga, psychedelics, and pseudoscience.
Oh.
So they'd also they have content that's like about like conspiracy theories and like alternative medicines and stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Does any of that kind of show up in Chopstick
No.
Panda?
Actually, of the ones that we're covering, I feel like this is the one that's the least offensive one, and actually has kind of like a small contained story that's easy to follow. Like if you're a kid watching it, this would be something you would probably watch again. So basically the premise of this is that Zebo, the main panda here, he works cleaning the dojo of his master, and he's got a son that he kind of is embellishing these tales of his achievements. So he says he's like this legendary warrior, and then of course the kid is bragging to his friends, and then he wants to have like a tour of the dojo, and then that turns into this, a desperate dad trying to prove himself, but he's been lying this whole time. But there's the amulet that I spoke of earlier. There's a hidden amulet in the dojo that's kind of like I think it's called the Amulet of Fury. Yes, the Amulet of Fury that's supposed to give the user great power. And then there's the master has an evil brother that wants this amulet, and of course the night of the sleepover he sends somebody to get it, and this turns into an encounter, and then they end up finding the amulet, and the father kind of brings himself up to the courage to stand up to the villains and do what he needs to do to save the kids and save the dojo. And of course at the end of the film, or the short, the master says that the amulet doesn't really have the power, it's the power that's within him that is what's able to make a master. So it's stupid, and there are a lot of like bad jokes, and it's like kind of daytime cartoon flash animation. But I mean, I don't know if it's Stockholm syndrome or what, but this one was actually tolerable, and I didn't mind it.
Oh, nice. No, it looks like it looks like an internet group made a little cartoon that like releases somewhat regularly. Like,
and at least it's
like
like
it looks
cool
like
character
it's not
designs and stuff.
Yeah, the character design, like obviously a lot of it's just ripped off from Kung Fu Panda, but it's not terrible. Like it looks like you'd find it like, if Cartoon Network was on a TV in a Denny's, you'd see it. But
I like what you said about the, banner ads for websites. Like all of this stuff looks like that.
It does.
Or like an ad before a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I gotta say hats off for not trying to make a CG feature.
Yeah.
I think this is the only like 2D.
Yeah,
it is, and it's the shortest of the bunch, and I feel like it works that way. There are a couple of good jokes in it, actually. What was the one of the kids asked,
"So, what's the difference between Taekwondo and karate?"
About 3 letters.
Right. I was like, "What the hell?" It caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where he's trying to teach them a technique, but it's basically he's just teaching them rock, paper, scissors. And actually he goes into a real I like rock, paper, scissors a lot. I think it's like really fun to just bring that up with people and see how they feel about it and see where it goes. And he actually goes into a really good description of the choices of between rock, scissors, and paper.
Does that buy them like 5 or 6 minutes in the movie?
Yeah, there's a funny moment where, after he explains it to the kids, then one of the kids challenges him and he loses over and over and over. There's also a moment where they do a snatch the pebble from my palm. Any kid, whether you watched Kung Fu or not, one of your family members at some point was like, try to get this out of my hand.
Yeah, totally. Rite of passage.
Yeah, so they have a moment of that in there. The animation, when it comes to action, there isn't that much. There's some moments where he's kind of doing like a stick demo where he's like swinging around, and that has some motion, but otherwise all the character models stay pretty still during the action.
Yeah. This is honestly, it's kind of that South Parky kind of style where it's like everything is side on. There's very few differences in cameras or whatever, which like is, it's not great. It's not going to win any awards, but it's fine.
Yeah, and there's a couple of Star Wars quotes towards the end of the episode too.
Of course.
there's like the strike me down quote when the master's fighting his evil brother. Yeah,
Is it kind of played for laughs, kind of?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
oh, gotcha.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, and then there's like a do or do not towards the end too. Yeah, so
this looks like
that one
this
was
looks
all right.
like people that worked on this will probably make something really cool or have made something cool in the intervening years. You know?
Sure.
Like this is like them learning how to do stuff or whatever.
There's also a couple funny moments where the son talks to the dad about their mom being dead. There's like it doesn't build to anything, but there's two moments in it where he's like, I wish mom was here. And he's like, yeah. It's like, whoa, wait a second. So I thought that was pretty funny. All right, so the last feature that I watched for the sake of this episode is a film from 2012 called The Adventures of Panda Warrior.
Ah! What a weird dream! Where'd I get these mittens? Ah, and what's with this black and white fursuit? Don't tell me I really turned into a panda! Can you see my tail?
So this was actually a Chinese feature, and it was brought over to the US to capitalize on the success of Kung Fu Panda, obviously. But Lionsgate actually released it here, and the dubbing cast, actually, they got some names that you would recognize. So the main character, he's played by Rob Schneider. Which is like a joke in itself. Like that's like something you'd see on a Simpsons episode.
But yeah, definitely a big pull compared to
right. And
so far.
the second build name is Norm Macdonald, which is completely baffling to me, but also makes a lot of sense because I could totally see Norm Macdonald be like, so how much are you gonna pay me for this?
Yeah.
All right.
Can you pay for this? How long do you need me? Okay. I'll do that.
Yep. So Haley Duff is also in this, and Tom Kenny, SpongeBob, is in this.
Oh, dude.
It's wild. Yeah, it's really crazy. And
well, and it had kind of like, it's unclear just reading up on it online. Like on the Wikipedia, it says that Jackie Chan voiced the character in the Mandarin version, but I can't see any confirmation of that.
Right, and the HK actually, there's a listing for this on the HKMDB, and it has Jackie Chan listed as the voice for Jin Bao, the main character, for the Cantonese version of the film.
Yeah, see, that makes sense.
Yep.
Huh.
And then to put, more credence to this, at the beginning of the film, this is one of these, I guess it's an isekai, right? In anime, when the main character gets transported to another world. So it's got that kind of device going on where there's a soldier in the Chinese army that ends up, basically during an attack, it seems like he jumps off a cliff and he's about to die. And right as he's about to die, he has a medallion that he was given by his grandfather, which you find out later in the film. And it transports him to the magical land of Maryland.
Oh, did you say Maryland?
That's literally like
Maryland.
It's called Maryland. I'm like,
oh, dude,
what?
And I love when he's
Baltimore?
talking about it earlier on, because he's kind of he's a little bit more of like the sensitive boy in the army camp or whatever. I did write down. There's a great exchange in the beginning. He says, because there's like a mean kind of sergeant or something. And he's like, well, why must we fight each other? If we can live together in harmony, there's no reason to fight. We can live in peace. And the sergeant says, not true.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. But if you look at the soldier, he looks like Jackie. He's got the Jackie schnoz, and he's got the Jackie kind of face model, and I think that's a little,
almost to like an offensive degree, right?
Joanna noticed. She's like, "Why does that guy look like that?" And I was like, "Well,
like a Jackie Chan caricature."
Yep. So
you're totally right. Yeah,
I haven't seen the original version of the film, but I'm willing to bet. I'm not gonna watch it again. That. Yeah. The Criterion release of Adventures of Jin Bao.
When the Blu-ray comes out, I'll be sure to pick it up.
Well, I should say
Speaking of that this
would be
looks
like
a dog shit.
Oh man,
this looks so bad.
Yeah,
it looks terrible.
And this is another film where a lot of the models were, you can tell they're motion captured, so you can see them just kind of walking around like a normal person would. And there are moments in like action where you can see that there's some martial arts that looks like it's been motion captured. But the character models are wild, and there's no uniformity in the design. Oh. It honestly looks like they grabbed a bunch of different models from different artists and put them together.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, dude, totally possible.
Yeah, and Joanna actually was like, you know, like in Disney when they have different animators animate different characters, and I'm like, you know, you might be right.
Kind of like that.
Yep. Yeah.
I like that. Despite like this does look in big old air quotes better than what was the Prodigy, one of the first ones you talked about.
Yeah, definitely looks better.
I've already forgotten what it was called.
Yes,
it does look better than that, but not.
Yeah, there's like better lighting rigs or something.
Mm-hmm. Like this, I guess maybe this looks like a really bad PS2 cutscene more than a PS1 cutscene.
Right.
But there's so many things that like it looks like they're over like a still image instead of a proper background in some parts.
Yeah.
Some people have textures, some don't. And
yeah, some really weird stuff going on.
It's weird.
But what I would say is that this film actually does have like a kind of sense of adventure, and it kind of has like a character arc where you've got this kind of out of place dude that's kind of scared, and by the end of the film, he kind of becomes the hero and realizes something about himself. And I mean, it's bad, but I do feel like there's a sense of, I don't know, almost like a Journey to the West kind of feeling to some of the things that happen in the movie.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because he ends up encountering these different characters, and my favorites. Oh man! All right, these characters they're called the Seven Wonders, and this is a group of animals that become the heroes in the film. The first one is this pig that is one of the first characters that he runs into. She's known as Sky Flyer, and she's a flying pig, and that's a joke. There's also like this hippo. It's like he calls himself a water horse, and they make a joke about, oh, you're a hippo. No, I'm a water horse. But he's got like modeled nipples, which makes me feel like anytime he's on screen, it shouldn't be rated PG. It's really bad. But my favorite dude is there's just like a regular dog, but he's got nunchucks and he walks on his hind legs. It just looks like a regular dog,
Dude, nice.
But he has nunchucks. There's a chicken, like a little nerdy looking monkey, a goat girl that kind of looks like like a girl's toy that you would see like in a 90s commercial. And then there's a bunny, and then there's that pig. But yeah, those guys are really interesting. And then they end up fighting this big ox that he's a villain, and then he turns into a hero. And there's a moment earlier where there's like this tree character that's called the Phantom Warrior, and he also gets converted, and that's Tom Kenny's character. There's a little mantis that's fighting around too. And Norm Macdonald plays like the Lion King, basically. He's like the leader of the Maryland like rebellion. And
you see, the Dragon Ball of Light powers Maryland, and it used to also maintain the peace. It was guarded by Hope and Faith, the two heavenly whales.
He actually has like a lot more lines than I'd expect for Norm Macdonald to be putting in.
But during the ceremony, a despicable rat with a despicable plan snuck into Maryland from an evil parallel dimension.
I mean, I've never not found like Norm funny. Like he makes everything
for real.
Work. Does he somehow kind of like pull off the impossible here?
So I'm trying to, you can tell when people are smiling when they're talking. And there's a little bit of that, but honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's funny. Like, and the other thing that I thought was really funny so I dug it up, like there's gotta be something online where Norm is talking about this, because he's always talking about shit like this,
always.
like, oh, get a load of this thing that I did,
Yeah.
And
that's probably why he's not in his very many like high profile things nowadays.
Right, because he'll just
shit on everything.
He'll just shit on it. Yeah. So there are like 2 tweets of him promoting it, and it's like him just deadpan like, "Hey guys, check out my new film, The Panda Adventures of Panda Warrior." And then the next one, like went right before it comes out, is, guys, I'm serious. Check out The Adventures of Panda Warrior. Yeah. It's so funny. Like, you can just tell, you know? There's like thinly veiled sarcasm behind what he's doing. But yeah, so like he, as the Lion King, kind of informs, he gives the exposition of what's going on in Maryland. There's this 8-headed or 9-headed snake called the Master that's taken over Maryland, and he's kidnapped the princess. So basically, the Seven Wonders, along with Patrick, the panda, Jinbao in the original version, have to team up and save Maryland. But there's this like weird like device where they, in the original, it's like this mythology. So the other thing that I kind of think is cool is that there's these two whales that are like Hope and Faith, I think, that represent like the kind of peace of Maryland, and they're defeated, and that's when like everything goes into turmoil. So but the thing that's kind of cool is that the two whales, is a white whale and a black whale, they basically form the yin and yang, like their shape. This is kind of a cool idea. I thought that was kind of cool. But
does it feel at any point like Chinese nationalist propaganda?
No, actually, no.
That's a good question.
I totally, like I said, I totally get a sense of like mythology to it. Like there's kind of like this, similar to like something in Journey to the West. But yeah, they all team up and all this stupid stuff happens. And there's actually this weird little ginseng guy who I found is also voiced by Rob Schneider. There's like this ginseng like cartoon.
Does he say you can do it?
No, he's like it's like Jimmy Ginseng. He basically is a bard that like will play a tune and convert anything that's evil to be a hero, and he does that a couple of times. But he looks like Groot. It's funny. Yeah, so they end up fighting, and there's some sacrifices. Actually, there's some moments of violence where some of the characters die, which kind of is in line with some of the Chinese media that we see, like this kind of whiplash of tones all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But they end up saving the day, and at the very end of the film, they don't really give you a resolution for Patrick. Like, you don't see him go back to the human world, but during the credits, they show the Jackie Chan soldier actually in the human world fighting with the general, and they're doing drunken fighting, and they're actually drinking the wine out of the barrels and everything. There's a whole like couple minute sequence of some drunken fists.
Whoa,
that's funny.
Yeah.
It's so baffling to me how a movie like this has like, obviously there was someone put some money into the dub, like even if these are kind of, D-list celebrities, no offense to Norm Macdonald, I love him to death, but then there's some of the movies we've talked about they also have dubs, and there is nothing online about them.
Right.
Like the only reason anyone knows about it is because someone just is like, I think that's the same voice that does this thing, and look around and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of funny just thinking about them. Just a whole like group of people that are like, all right, we're gonna put in the work to release this thing and make some money off of it. It's like, so I mean, such a blatant
obviously
rip-off.
The model works, right? Because it's been going for so many years.
Yeah.
Like, so I know we all joke that it's like, oh, somebody's grandma like grabbed the wrong movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But how would you guys break down the percentages of? It's like, okay, everyone that bought The Adventures of Panda Warrior, what do you think that looks like? Where is that coming from?
Like intentional purchases or mistaken purchases? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess if you had to imagine like the pie chart, like are they really banking like mostly on mistaken purchases?
That's what I wonder.
crazy,
and I wonder how much money they have to make on something like this to make it profitable. Because you've seen some like kind of crappy like CG like characters with like, B-level celebrities. They're just trying to get out there and be on that market. It's wild.
I guess at some point it's almost banking on people buying it because they saw a dumb picture of it on the internet, or like, I can't believe this thing exists.
Right. I mean, they're also usually like very cheap, right, compared to like
it's like, oh, Kung Fu Panda was $20, but this was only $5.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I just wonder how much something has to make for it to be successful, like with this model. And one of the things I think of is just like kind of YouTube now. Like YouTube is basically taking the place of, you know, buying something from the dollar store, because you can just put on a YouTube video of like some goofball playing with sand for half an hour.
Exactly.
Or I also think of like Twitch, you know, watching a game stream. So kids love to watch like Minecraft streams, or, you know, even Smash Brothers, or what's the one?
Fortnite.
Roblox.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you guys know about
Kids.
Roblox? That's a weird ass world.
Just of it. Yeah.
My wife's elementary school teacher, so she gets to hear about Roblox a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know about all this stuff until I started hanging out with my friend, because he has a couple of daughters, and Roblox and just like YouTube. It's just a wild world that I had no idea existed. And these people make a lot of money just kind of hanging out and entertaining kids. So yeah, more power to them. You don't have to put a whole team together to make a crappy CG film. But yeah, I just wanted, I thought this would be fun for an April Fool's thing, and there's no real other venue for us to talk about something this stupid, so
yeah.
I hope people like it. Don't go out and watch these things. Everybody, please don't. I did it so you don't have to.
Yeah, and your portrait hangs in the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah.
That was above the Call of Duty, man.
I think for this episode, I'll make a single GIF from each movie so that everyone gets an idea of
beautiful
of what it is.
And they're all within the first 7 seconds. Yeah.
They're all just the title card.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God.
But yeah, so if you've seen the DreamWorks version of Kung Fu Panda, count yourself lucky.
Yeah.
You're living in privilege. So check your privilege and watch these movies.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm sure this is like what I was saying in the Kung Fu Panda episode. Kung Fu Panda was like solid.
Yeah,
like,
it's good.
Yeah, dude,
one,
it's a good movie.
There's a good message. 2, the production values were very good for the time. 3, the action was shot really well. I can't.
Yeah,
really good score.
Always, Hans Zimmer, right? I think Hans Zimmer actually.
And John Powell. Yeah.
Did Chop Kick
mostly
Panda
John
too.
Powell, but, yeah, he totally did. Oh man. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't really enjoy the second or third Kung Fu Panda.
Whoa,
that's great.
Kung Fu Panda.
Oh man, that's
the one we need to make. Yeah,
that's like fighting baseball, or what's the game called?
Yeah, fighting baseball. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we were talking about that before we rolled.
Yeah. That's I don't know. If you want to laugh, just look up fighting baseball, and you'll get a kick out of it. I guarantee that.
Yeah, but no, that first film I think is great. Holds up beautifully.
Yeah, cool stuff. So then, 3 years from now, we'll be talking about Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about Kung Fu Panda 2 at some point.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out our show here. If you like it, you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Heroes 3 Podcast on all 3 of them. And next week we'll be back to our normal shtick.
Oh yeah, actually, with how this pans out, we're going from some of the worst animation you've ever seen to some of the best animation you've ever seen.
Yeah. We already recorded the episode, but the next episode's Sora the Stranger, which is by a really good Asian animation team with Bones from Japan. So
look forward to that.
Yeah, look forward to that. But until then, I'm Matthew.
I'm Marty.
I'm Carlos.
We are the Heroes 3. Remember your training.
We're wasting a lot of time here. I have things to do.
What do I do now?
Heroes 3 is part of the Mercado Brothers Podcast Network.